A plate shattered across the diner floor as Jessica jerked backward, barely dodging the man who had just grabbed her wrist. "Don't touch me," she snapped, pulling herself free, but the man advanced again, his partner blocking the only exit. Customers stared, frozen. Chairs scraped. Someone whispered for help, but no one moved. Jessica's breath trembled as she backed into a table, trapped. At booth 5, billionaire Alexander Hale finally looked up. Jessica met his eyes, fearful, pleading, before slamming the bill on his table and slipping a folded note underneath it with the speed of someone running out of options. Alexander opened it. 3 words stared back at him. "Please help me." He didn't hesitate. His chair hit the floor as he surged to his feet. "Back off," he barked, stepping between Jessica and the men. They sneered. "And who the hell are you?" One shoved him in the chest. Alexander caught the wrist mid-push, twisted sharply, and slammed the man against the counter before anyone could blink. The second man lunged at Alexander with a knife. Alexander grabbed a metal napkin holder and struck his arm, the knife clattering onto the tiles. Jessica gasped, clutching her apron. "You're going to get hurt." Alexander didn't look back. "Stay behind me." The first man roared, charging forward and knocking over a booth. Alexander sidestepped, hooked his leg and sent him crashing to the ground. The second man swung wildly. Alexander caught his arm, twisted, and forced him backward until he toppled into a table. And if you're following this intense moment right now, make sure you like the video, subscribe and leave a comment because what happens next will shock you. Before Alexander could regain footing, the fallen man kicked his leg out, dragging him down hard. Both crashed onto the floor. Customers screamed. Jessica covered her mouth. Alexander rolled, pinned the man by the collar and growled, "Touch her again and I'll make sure you regret it." The man thrashed. His partner attacked again with a metal utensil holder. Alexander pushed off the floor, deflected the swing, and shoved the man into the entrance door so hard the glass rattled. The 2 attackers stumbled out of the diner, shouting threats before disappearing into the street. Silence filled the room. Alexander stood, breathing hard, knuckles bruised, shirt torn slightly at the collar. Jessica stared at him, stunned. I didn't mean for you to." He cut her off instantly. "No time. Grab your bag. They'll be back." Jessica blinked, confused and shaking. "What? What do they want?" Alexander stepped closer, eyes burning with urgency. "Because you asked me for help. And now they won't stop until they get what they came for." She tried to speak, but he leaned in, voice low and serious. "If you stay here, you're dead. Move." Jessica swallowed hard. "Why are you doing this?" Alexander's expression broke for just a moment. "Because someone once said, 'Please help me,' to me, and I didn't answer fast enough. I won't make the same mistake twice." Before she could react, he grabbed her hand. "Let's go, Jessica. Now." Jessica barely had time to breathe before Alexander pulled her toward the back exit. The kitchen lights flickered as they rushed through, the chef staring in shock as they passed. "Alexander, wait, my things, my jacket." He didn't stop. "Forget it. You won't be coming back here anytime soon." They burst through the rear door and into the dim alley behind the diner. The cold air hit Jessica like a slap. Alexander scanned the alley quickly, jaw clenched, eyes sharp, movements precise like a man trained for danger. "Keep your head down. Stay close," he ordered. Jessica followed, trembling, trying to steady her breathing. Suddenly, a black SUV screeched around the corner, headlights slicing through the alley. Jessica gasped. Alexander instantly pushed her behind a dumpster. "Get down." The SUV braked hard, too hard. The same 2 men from the diner jumped out, cursing loudly, scanning the alley like hunting dogs. "Where is she?" one yelled. "Boss said don't come back without her." Jessica covered her mouth, trying not to cry. Alexander leaned close, whispering, "They're not here for money. They want leverage. Someone higher is pulling strings." The men split up, approaching both sides of the alley. Alexander's muscles tensed. Timing mattered. When the first man passed their hiding spot, Alexander grabbed a loose metal pipe from the ground. He waited, 1 second too, then struck fast and hard. The man collapsed with a grunt. The second man spun around. "Hey, I see you." Alexander didn't let him finish. He grabbed Jessica's hand and ran. They tore through the alley, feet pounding asphalt, breath loud, adrenaline burning through them both. Jessica stumbled on debris, but Alexander steadied her without slowing. They burst onto the main road, dodging late-night traffic. A horn blared. A car screeched. Jessica almost slipped, but Alexander yanked her forward. "Don't stop," he shouted. The SUV roared out of the alley behind them, headlights glaring. "They're still coming?" Jessica cried. Alexander pulled her across the street and darted into a narrow side passage between two buildings. The SUV couldn't fit, but the men could. "Move," Alexander urged. Jessica pushed herself harder than she ever had, lungs burning. They sprinted out onto a quieter road where a sleek black sedan waited. Jessica slowed, confused. "Whose car is that?" Alexander pressed a button on his key. The lights flashed. "Mine." She stared at him, breathless. "Since when were you planning this?" He opened the passenger door. "Since the moment you slipped me that note." Jessica hesitated only a split second before climbing in. Alexander slammed the door shut, raced around to the driver's side and jumped in. The sedan peeled off just as the two men reached the edge of the passageway, shouting and pointing. Jessica twisted in her seat, shaking. "They won't stop." "Who are they?" Alexander gripped the wheel, speeding through the nearly empty street. "Debt collectors hired by someone who wants more than your mother's medical bills." Jessica frowned. "But, that doesn't make sense. I don't own anything." Alexander's jaw tightened. "You don't? But your mother does." Jessica's heart dropped. "What are you talking about?" Alexander stared straight ahead, eyes cold. "Your mother signed something years ago. And whoever owns that contract wants it back, now." Jessica's voice cracked. "What contract?" Alexander glanced at her for the first time since they'd left the diner. "One your mother never told you about. And one that puts you both in serious danger." Jessica's breath hitched. "How do you know this?" Alexander exhaled deeply, the weight of truth pressing into his voice. "Because the name on that contract was the same name that destroyed my father." Jessica stared at Alexander, the words hitting her harder than the chase itself. "What do you mean the same name that destroyed your father?" Alexander didn't answer immediately. His grip tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles white, eyes fixed ahead with a haunted focus. The car sped through the city, engine humming with controlled aggression. "Your mother once signed with a corporation called Halden and Cole Finance Group," he finally said. Jessica blinked. "I've never heard of them." Alexander nodded. "Most people haven't. They target desperate families, offer medical loans with hidden clauses that no normal person could ever understand. My father, he took a loan from them when our company was collapsing. He hid it. He thought he could fix everything alone." Jessica listened, barely breathing. "What happened?" Alexander swallowed hard, jaw tightening. "They demanded collateral after he defaulted. The collateral was our home, our patents, everything he ever built. The pressure killed him. Stress. Heart failure. And the company took advantage of his death to seize everything legally. By the time I found out, it was too late." Jessica's voice trembled. "And now they're coming after my mother the same way?" Alexander nodded. "And you?" "They use intimidation to force families into surrendering rights. But this time they messed with the wrong person." Jessica glanced at him, confused. "Why?" Alexander looked at her, expression sharp. "Because I'm not letting them repeat what they did to my father." Suddenly, bright headlights exploded in the rear window. Jessica gasped. "Alexander, they're back." A black SUV swerved aggressively behind them, speeding up. "Damn it," Alexander muttered. The SUV rammed the back of their sedan, jolt shaking Jessica violently. "Hold on." Alexander spun the wheel, sending the car in a hard right turn. Tires screeched. The SUV followed. Another hit. Jessica clutched her seatbelt. "They're not stopping." Alexander pressed harder on the accelerator. "They won't. Not until they have leverage. And your leverage." The sedan shot through a yellow light. The SUV blew through the red behind them, nearly clipping another car. Alexander growled, "They're desperate." Jessica's breathing quickened. "What do we do?" Alexander scanned the road, eyes calculating. "We don't outrun them. We outsmart them." He turned sharply into an industrial district. Empty warehouses, wide spaces, fewer witnesses. The SUV followed like a shadow. Alexander braked suddenly. The sedan skid-spun sideways. The SUV overshot. Alexander slammed the accelerator again, swinging behind the SUV. Jessica's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Ending this chase." The SUV tried to correct, but Alexander rammed its rear side, forcing it into a spin. Metal crunched. The SUV fishtailed violently, crashing into stacks of metal pallets. Smoke rose. Alexander exhaled, tension still tight in his shoulders. "That'll slow them down." Jessica's hands shook uncontrollably. How do you even know how to do all this?" Alexander didn't look away from the road. You learn a lot when powerful people want you gone. Jessica stared at him, realization dawning. You've been hunted before. His silence was the confirmation. The sedan slowed as Alexander pulled into an underground parking garage. He killed the engine. The silence was thick. Jessica finally whispered, "Why me, Alexander? You could have walked away." Alexander turned to her, eyes heavy with something deeper than fear, regret. "Because you asked me for help. And I never answered the last person who asked." Jessica swallowed. "Who?" His voice cracked for the first time. "My father." The underground garage grew colder with every step as Alexander led Jessica deeper into the concrete maze. His eyes scanned every shadow, every corner, every reflection in the car windows. Jessica followed close behind, heart pounding. "Alexander, what exactly is going on?" He didn't slow down. "Someone inside Halden and Cole intentionally targeted your mother. They used her past against her." Jessica frowned. "Her past? You keep saying that like she's someone I don't know." Alexander stopped abruptly, turning to her with a seriousness that made her breath catch. "Because you don't know everything. Your mother wasn't just running from a bad marriage. She disappeared after being framed for stealing intellectual property, an algorithm that could rewrite global data security." Jessica shook her head. "No, she wouldn't hide something like that from me." Alexander replied quietly, "She did to protect you. The moment they realized she had a daughter, you became useful leverage." Before Jessica could respond, her phone vibrated. A known number. Her stomach clenched. She answered. "Hello." A calm, almost amused male voice replied, "Jessica Martinez?" Finally. Jessica froze. "Who is this?" The voice ignored the question. "You've created quite a mess tonight. But don't worry, we cleaned up one part of it." Jessica gripped the phone tighter. "What does that mean?" The man said casually, "Your mother is safe, for now. She lost consciousness when we collected her. But she's resting. She keeps calling your name." Jessica's knees weakened. "Where is she? Let me talk to her." He continued, unfazed. "Warehouse District. Building 17. Midnight. Come alone. If you bring anyone, you will regret it." Alexander grabbed the phone. "If you touch her, I'll..." The man cut him off. "Mr. Hale. I'm surprised you're still involved. Tell me, does she know the truth about you? Or what you did to your father's company?" Alexander froze. Total stillness. Jessica's eyes widened. "Alexander, what is he talking about?" The call ended. Jessica backed away slowly. "Alexander, what does he mean? What truth?" Alexander opened his mouth, struggling. "Jessica, I was going to tell you, but not like this." Her phone buzzed again. A message. A photo. Her mother tied to a chair, unconscious, a bruise on her forehead. Under it, "Come alone. Or she dies." Jessica's scream echoed through the garage as she dropped the phone. Alexander moved toward her. "Jessica, don't panic. We can't walk into a trap." She stepped away from him, shaking. "No. You're hiding something. He knew something about your past. What are you not telling me?" Alexander's voice cracked. "There are things I regret more than you can imagine. But right now, your mother..." He didn't finish. The garage lights suddenly flickered, then shut off completely. Total darkness. Somewhere behind the parked cars, a footstep echoed. Jessica whispered, terrified, "Alexander, someone's here." Alexander reached for her hand in the dark. "Stay behind me." But before she could move, a red laser dot appeared on Alexander's chest. Jessica gasped. Another voice, different from the caller, spoke from the darkness behind them. "Come. Close. Move one more step, Jessica, and he dies first." If you want part 2 and you want to see who just stepped out of that darkness, hit the like button, subscribe and comment part 2 right now. The next episode will shock you.